On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get a payback win in Utah against the Jazz. Still no Luka Doncic, but Kyrie and Quentin Grimes come up big. And a hot start for the Mavericks. We'll talk about that on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
Almost done.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Let it ride, let it ride, let it. And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. We're making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Subscribe to our free Locked On Mavs newsletter. Check the QR code in the corner of the screen or the link in the description to get a newsletter that covers the Mavs and the NBA straight to your inbox every weekday. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, as always, from the great Slightly Biased YouTube channel, the post-game prodigy. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
We beat the Jazz in Utah. We did it!
It's possible. Anything is possible! We'll talk about that win. We'll talk about the contributions from Gafford and PJ, the 2024 trade deadline. 2 double-doubles for them. We'll get into some of the bad. Like, we got some questions and maybe some answers to some questions here at the end of the bench. Yeah. But let's start here. The hot start for the Dallas Mavericks, I felt like, was the story in this one. Came out to a 40-22 lead. They got out to a 20-point lead in that first quarter. And Quentin Grimes, my guy, Quentin Grimes, started 4 of 5 from 3, finishes with a season-high 24 points for Quentin Grimes. Let's start with him. It's just great to have a guy that is that willing to shoot, can get open like that, can create a little offense here and there too. He was doing some stuff off the dribble and some pull-up jumpers, things like that. I thought he played some solid defense on the other end too. He's just fitting exactly like I hoped he would.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a world that exists where maybe you think, especially with how he's been shooting the basketball ever since his DNP, like maybe you think about a world where he's with your starting group and like when everybody's healthy and stuff like that, because you do need that defense. He's been a very willing shooter. He's been a good 3-point shooter lately. He does other things for you offensively. And his defense just plays really, really well, which is something the Mavericks really need in that starting lineup. Is somebody who could just put some pressure on the ball, like just somebody who could play some point of attack defense and fight over screens and, just limit the defense from being stuck in rotation, for longer than 1 millisecond. So yeah, he was great tonight. The free throw shooting, I don't know what is going on there, but
very weird. A 75, like 80% free throw shooter just missing all but one. He got that one where he got fouled on a 3 and missed all 3 of them. Just like a really weird night from him. That felt like just a weird yips thing.
Yeah, that was 1 of 6 from the free throw line. Started 0-5, really short on all of them, like teetering on airballing some of them. So definitely some weird yip there. He was 3 of 6 from the line against the Knicks. So definitely some strange sort of confidence thing going on there. Some mental barrier going on there at the free throw line. But yeah, other than that, man, he's been awesome. He's going to draw a lot. He's already drawn so many 3-point fouls, I feel like, so far this season, because that shot is so quick. So a defender just kind of finds this. A defender kind of reaches just a little bit, and Quentin Grimes goes up, and it's a foul. So yeah, he's been great, and that's your guy right there.
Feel great about that call. feel great. Jason Kidd gave him the push he needed with the DNP CD that one night when he didn't play and Kidd didn't play him. And but yeah, since then, right, it's been like 8 games. He's averaged 11 points. He shot 43% from 3 assists, 5 rebounds. He's a plus 10 on average when Quentin Grimes plays in those minutes. So
nice.
A great little run for him right here. And I just think that you mentioned him in the starting lineup. He'd take Clay's spot, right? That's what we're talking about if they end up doing
Luka's spot, I think.
Luka come off the bench. Can you imagine Luka 6th man of the year with like averaging 30 points?
6th man of the year and MVP of the same season.
Yeah. I think that's happened before.
I doubt it. I really do doubt it. One thing I want to say is Quentin Grimes and Kyrie
Oh, well, Bill Walton did it. He did 6th man of the year and
won 6th Man of the
MVP,
Year,
but, not in the same
MVP,
season, but not in the
not
same season, obviously.
Right. Yeah. So I'd like that Quentin Grimes and Kyrie next. I mean, I'm looking at these on-off numbers, and I was about to say Quentin Grimes with Kyrie Irving on the court. Those two are plus 15 together. That duo, their net rating. But Quentin Grimes with Luka is also a plus 15 net rating with Kyrie off. So he just plays incredibly well off of these guys. It's just somebody who can space the floor and then play really good defense. And then occasionally, shot clock's winding down. They need something. He is somebody who can create for himself on occasion. So, I've really liked what I've seen from Quentin Grimes so far this season.
Yeah, it's just been nice to have that spot and we talked about him being the Josh Green replacement over the summer. You needed a guy to step into that role, and we kept waiting for Josh Green to be the 3-and-D type guy that can give you a little more offense, maybe a little more passing and things like that. And it feels like, all right, that experiment had run its course for the Mavs, and now you bring in Quentin Grimes in that spot and traded Tim Hardaway Jr. for him and traded a couple seconds, and that trade looks awesome for the Mavs. Yeah. Just absolutely great. A home run, another home run for Nico Harrison. So it's from top down, basically. Good decision to bring him on the roster. Good decision for Kidd. Maybe it was a good decision. I mean, we're playing off the results now, but good decision by Kidd to play it slow for him at the beginning and then now unleash him in a way. I don't know. I mean, you can go back and forth on if that mattered or not.
I mean, everyone got mad about the DNP. I understood it. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but all I do know is from that point forward, he's been hooping. So something went right there.
That's the thing about coaching and us trying to analyze coaching is if something worked, then we'll give you credit for it. But if something's not working, then we're going to blame you for it.
That's how it goes.
Or we'll credit the move that was actually made from it. So yeah, Quentin Grimes, just under 29 minutes, 24 points. Great game. You'll take that from that spot in the rotation. Absolutely. Especially with Naji Marshall limited. He only played 13 minutes because he left with an upper respiratory situation. The Mavs just can't catch a break with some of these injuries. I mean, he went out, Lively went out at the beginning of the fourth quarter. He was holding his left knee. He went back to the locker room and then he came back real quick and looked like he was walking fine after the game, but he only plays 22 minutes and only plays 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. And yeah, they just can't catch any breaks with this. 4 minutes in the fourth quarter.
So is that I'm assuming that's what was going around, the upper respiratory illness?
It's the first time they haven't just said illness, right? And they actually gave it a name. So
Naji's been dealing with this for a week or something like that. It is what he makes it sound like in his pressers and stuff. And I wonder if this was more of a, hey, we kind of feel like we have this game under control and we play tomorrow. Naji, if you're not feeling good, you don't have to play the rest of this game.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that with him and with Lively. All right, we got it. We can close this out. Just throw Kyrie out there, and he'll go on a run. The first quarter in this one, they got out to that real hot start, and they were moving. I felt like they were moving the ball really well. They had that great, Lively got an offensive rebound and kicked out to Grimes for the end 1-3. That was a great play to make it 8-2 at the beginning. You had, a couple plays where PJ hit a 3, Kyrie hit a 3, Grimes hit a couple threes. They were just real hot to start. And we've been talking about this team hitting threes, and if they're going to hit threes like that, they finish 15 of 39. It ups their ceiling for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, first quarter 9 of 12 from 3,
huge.
So then you do some math. The rest of the game was putrid from the 3-point line.
Well, we're talking about the rest of the game here,
but yeah, I mean, when they're making threes, they have the size. They get into the middle of the floor. They get to the basket, and then you have willing passers like Derek Lively, who's a great offensive rebounder, then somebody can kick out off of those rebounds. We see that all the time. We saw that tonight. And then when you space the floor, it wasn't like that first quarter. I have to go back and look, but I mean, maybe 1 or 2 of them are corner threes. They're all above the break, catch and shoot threes because of all the attention. The guys in the middle of the floor retracting, kicking the ball out to an open shooter, and those guys knocking him down. So, yeah, I mean, we knew that this team would get better shooting-wise than what they were to start the season, and we're finally really starting to see that tick up.
All of them above the break in the first quarter. All of them.
Yep, there you go.
And most of them on the left side too, which is, I don't know, just a statement. I don't know if that's
that's just where they were open.
That's where it is. Coming up, let's talk about some of the other contributions. Let's talk about how Kyrie Irving closed this game, and then we'll get into some of the issues that happened at the end of this game because it was not an easy breezy win for the Mavs. We'll talk about that and more coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by BetterHelp. Everybody has things in their life you need to talk about. I'm going through some things myself that I just need to talk to a therapist about. I've used BetterHelp before, and I really liked that you're able to get somebody and you can switch therapists at any time for no charge, which is great because sometimes you just don't vibe with the person right away, and you need to make sure that that's somebody you feel open to talking to and feel like they understand where you're coming from. And maybe they don't have a background that understands. I was looking for somebody that had a religious background but wasn't necessarily going to use that in therapy. And maybe that's different for you, but that's what I needed. And they have all kinds of different people that you can talk with. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. Go check out the newsletter. We are the #1 newsletter in all of Locked On, thanks to you guys. So subscribe to that.
In all of the world.
Also in all of Locked On the world. Also subscribe to our Insiders program where you get text straight to your phone. I was giving you all kinds of updates today about the game and my thoughts during the game, after the game, giving you updates on everything. So subscribe to that. Appreciate you. It helps support the show. All right, slightly. Let's talk about Kyrie. Kyrie in this game started the game, hit a three to start, which we haven't seen lately. Him take one of the first shots of the game, but it was in the flow and it came to him. Then he hit Lively on a pick and roll, and Lively spun into a hook shot, which was awesome. And the thing that I loved about Kyrie is it felt like a star player game, right? 30 points, 9 assists, did what he needed to do, came out and quieted them down when they needed a bucket. Again, all the things we've said about Kyrie in this run without Luka was true in this game too. Just gave them exactly what they needed.
Yeah, and I mean, down the stretch of the game again, when it got pretty uncomfortable, it just I never really felt like the game was in jeopardy for the Mavericks, just because they looked so good in the minutes that Kyrie Irving was on the court, and he was just the Jazz just don't really have an answer for a guy like that, and Kyrie was going to get a good shot every single time he had the basketball. He had, I want to say 3, maybe even 4, cuts to the basket where, the Mavs are doing their 5-out offense and they're trying to run Kyrie off a ball screen. And we see defenses top lock that. So to prevent him flying off that screen, and he's a smart cutter and he cuts, and Gafford made a couple really, really nice feeds to him on those cuts to get baskets at the rim. So another great game from Kyrie Irving. 4 steals as well. I mean, he made some things happen defensively too, just being active and help and in passing lanes and stuff like that, getting deflections on the ball. He had a couple those little pokes from behind, those little tap outs. He's good at those because his hands is anticipation. Really good.
Yeah, something that I noticed in this game is the very beginning. I've been talking about, should we worry about Kyrie's defense? Should we worry about teams picking on Kyrie? Because it's been happening a lot. And it started at the beginning of this game. They went to a John Collins post up on Kyrie. Then they went on a Larry Markkinen post up on Kyrie. They scored on both those plays. And then the rest of the game, Kyrie was kind of holding his own and not getting switched on as much. And when he did, he was able to poke the ball away, like you said. And that's what you got to do. You just got to fight, and you got to make sure that you don't get put in that situation where you're getting posted up, especially close to the basket like he was on those first couple of plays. And so I thought that was a good adjustment for him and for the Mavs. But I'm not too worried about his defense, but it's definitely something to watch because teams are going after him, and they are trying to target him on switches, especially when the rest of the lineup is Lively, PJ, Naji, Grimes. It's just such a solid defensive group. Who are you going to go after? Of course, you're going to go after Kyrie, the smallest guy.
Yeah, and part of that's on the team as well, rotating, pre-switching, stuff like that in an effort to avoid him being somebody who's getting put in the action all the time, avoid him being the low man. And I thought they did a good job of that tonight. There was even times where, he would start or he'd get switched on to a guy like Lowry and John Collins, and then Gafford or PJ or Maxey would, they basically do like a scram switch where they just fly to the ball and Kyrie would rotate out. So they did a good job. It was a good defensive game plan for the Mavericks, and, they've been a great defensive team over the last, couple of weeks. Against bad offenses, this defense is just stifling.
Yeah. That was the thing, is that the whole time, the Mavs played good defense this whole game, basically. And then you just needed to score just enough, and they got it. And they got just enough. 106. They allowed only 94 points. That is not a score we see often in the NBA anymore.
No, I'm interested to see. They have the second best defense against bottom 10 offenses in the league, which isn't that surprising really, but
They stifle those teams.
99 defensive rating against bottom 10 offenses. So if your team's bad offensively, it's gonna be tough against this Mavs team. Yeah,
you're gonna keep being bad.
Yes, you will continue to be bad.
You'll continue. Kyrie had 2 plays I want to talk about. First one, first quarter, 5:40. He was posting up, I think on either Sexton or George, and got the and one spin alley-oop from Gafford at the top of the key. Just a wild pat where you never expect the Gafford to Kyrie alley-oop. That's probably never happened before, but it reminded me that you just always get at least one play a game where Kyrie does something that makes you go, "Oh my God, what did I just see?" And that was the one this game for me.
Yeah, well, did you not watch the Kai Cenat stream? They were teaching him that on the stream last night. And he said
to post up and alley-oop.
Yeah, and he said, "I'm going to do this for you tomorrow."
I missed that part. I did see Kyrie teaching Kai how to shoot. Now, then he showed him proper hand placement and stuff, and then I just saw clips from it.
And then Kai Cenat showed him, "All right, you're going to catch this alley-oop pass, and you're going to lay it off the backboard. You're going to get an and one." And Kyrie was like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
Did he? He said it. He really said that in the stream?
Yeah, he literally taught him how to do that. And Kyrie said,
"Where did Kai Cenat come from? He's too powerful now. He's had everybody on the show."
He didn't say that on the stream.
Aw, you made me believe in a more fantastical world.
That's what we in this industry call a joke.
That would have been hilarious.
Wait, I just looked at these numbers because for something I said earlier about the Mavericks defense, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, yeah, they're a top 5 defense. Like, of course, their numbers are going to look really good against bad teams, but they're 25th in defensive rating against top 10 offenses.
Yeah, that's the thing. I brought it up a couple episodes ago where they have crushed these bad teams defensively, and then against good teams, they've been awful defensively. Yeah. It's very back and forth. We're looking for this defense to show up against a good team a couple times here, and they've got to figure that out by the end of the season. But right now, they're getting away with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of that too is such a small sample size that there's 4 games to take off of. So I don't know what you could do with that information really, but their defense has been. We're all very impressed with their defense.
Yeah, and they've won a couple of those games where their defense has been bad against good teams, right?
Oh yeah, they're 3-1. They're 3-1 against top 10 offenses. So it's not like they're getting crushed. So
no, the Mavs were getting crushed without Kyrie, except for a 10-0 run in the first quarter. The rest of that, they were brutal without Kyrie on the floor. So he made a huge impact in this one. Let's get into Gafford and PJ. Just. Is the Gafford 6th man of the year stuff? Are you buying this? Because 14 and 11 off the bench, he's making an impact. 3 assists, man, looking good.
I just don't feel like he has a 6th man of the year game. Like I'm trying to think if a player like him has ever won. Yeah,
I mean Nas Reed won last year as like a big man. The other one is like Montrezl Harrell off the bench, but
all those guys were like bucket getters. Bobby Portis, like these guys are like bucket getters off the bench. Where Gafford scores and he gets buckets, but it's not. I'm more saying I feel like 6th man of the year still has yet to get really, infiltrated by the advanced analytics. Look at this graph nerds. And it's still just kind of like, oh, that guy's a bucket getter. We'll give him 6th man of the year. Like that's what's so kind of beautiful about the award.
Yeah. Well, and he's still 12 points a game on the season, under 7 rebounds, a block, but the team gets outscored by like a point when he's out there. So it's not, it doesn't really jump off the page necessarily. There's not like one distinct characteristic where you go, oh man, that really plays in his favor.
Yeah. Peyton Pritchard's going to run away with that award.
Oh, another thing for Boston. You guys, what else do you guys need?
My God. Imagine how tough it is to be a Celtics fan.
PJ, well, there's other reasons. 16 points, 10 rebounds for PJ Washington. He's so impactful and important. And there's people that try to always compare each Mavericks team to like the 2011 team, and Sean Marion gets brought up for PJ Washington a lot. And when he first came to the Mavericks, I wasn't hearing it. And now recently I'm like, that version of Sean Marion that they had on the 2011, PJ's kind of close to him now.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Barry was the guy who's getting MVP votes at his absolute peak of his powers.
Yeah.
So.
He was not him in his prime for sure.
Yes. But 2011, Sean Barry,
Yeah.
I mean, God, somebody tweeted it out, and I don't remember who it was. Otherwise, I'd shout him out. But it was like the PJ Washington numbers with him on the court versus him off the court. Was that you? We might have tweeted it.
No.
If somebody tweeted what their record, I thought it was Grant Afsat.
Oh, without their record, they were 9-1 with it. They were 9-1 with him and 1-4 without him or something like that.
Yeah, and then it was like just like his record, the Mavericks record since he's been traded here when he's on the court.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like they win at such an unbelievable rate, and it allows the Mavericks to do so many different things because of his size. It's something the Mavericks desperately have needed for quite some time. They tried to do it in Grant Williams. I thought that was going to be something that worked out, but Grant Williams was just not big enough and not good enough, really. But PJ Washington is like the perfect guy.
His rebounding has been so important. You get those bigs that just get tied up underneath and sometimes lively with two guys on him, and then all of a sudden PJ comes out of nowhere and grabs a rebound. That's been absolutely massive. Coming up, let's talk about some of the tough things for the Mavericks in this game. The second quarter was brutal. There are still some good things. Spencer Dinwiddie. Let's talk about some of the other things that the Mavs struggle with and went well in this game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. You can go and see what is available for you at Game Time. There's all kinds of great things all the time. They have concerts, comedy, theater, shows, all kinds of things. The Big 12 championship game coming a week from now. You can get in there for $147. That's not too bad to go to a crazy big game like that. You've got the NBA Cup game for the Mavs coming up this week. Just $24 to get into Mavs Grizzlies. That's going to be an important game. There's a Pentatonics concert. That's great for Christmas. There's Matt Rife, if that's your thing. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Tyler the Creator, all kinds of stuff coming on Game Time in the DFW area. Go check it out and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply at Game Time. What time is it? It's game time.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly, let's get into the rest of this game. One more positive before we get into some of the tough things. Has Spencer Dinwiddie finally exited the category of, oh my gosh, the Mavs need to upgrade at this spot desperately? Has he exited that? Because in this game, 7 points, 10 assists, 3 steals for Dinwiddie. Didn't fill it up scoring as much. He's only 2 of 9, but he's doing stuff.
Yeah, yes, definitely. He's outside of that because especially when Luka comes back, Exum comes back. I mean, what even is the role that we're talking about for Dinwiddie? What makes Dinwiddie so good though is he does have the flashes, and when Luka's out or Kyrie's out, and you just need somebody else on the basketball court, somebody who's going to play 30 minutes and somebody who's going to have the ball in their hands quite a bit. Spence can have games and have stretches where he is carrying your team to wins, basically. And I know he didn't shoot well from the field tonight, but 10 assists. I mean, the offense just felt so much better when he had the ball in his hands versus some of the other guards off the bench that I'm sure we'll get to at some point. But yeah, Spence is definitely, I mean, the last 3 or 4 games for Dinwiddie since that Heat game have been great.
Last 4 games, including that Heat game, 28 points, 15 boards, shooting 38% from, or 15 boards, 15 points, 15 points, shooting 38, 15 boards maybe total, but averaging 6 assists, and they've, outscored teams by 2 points when he's been in there. 3-1. He's, at least these last 4 or 5 games, he has jumped out of that role where I just go, oh man, the Mavs desperately need to upgrade at that spot, which is great. This is what I expected from him, right? Yeah. Everything you just said, to step into that spot, to be good enough to carry an offense for a couple possessions here and there, give you some extra stuff. And he finished 2 lobs. He chucked up 2 lobs to Gafford today that were awesome in transition. Yeah. And that's something that we're not used to from Spencer Dinwiddie, but 10 assists, great for him.
Yeah, really good stuff. And just small sample size, obviously, but with Spencer Dinwiddie's on the floor without Kyrie or Luka, the Mavs are a plus 13 net rating. That's just huge to have a guy who you feel confident with the ball in his hands, a guy that can sort of run a very similar type of offense, to obviously he's not Luka or Kyrie, but he's somebody who has the ball in his hands. He likes to run the pick and roll. He likes to be an isolation player, drive and kick, all this type of stuff. And he's been really, really important for the Mavs over the stretch without Luka, for sure.
The couple pain points in this game, 16 points in the second quarter. They just completely cooled off. I haven't seen a Mavs team go through a Magnets half like that, where they shot 9 of 12 from three in the first quarter, 3 of 12 from three in the second quarter. Just, completely turned on them.
Yeah. And I thought they're pretty similar looks, like all pretty good looking threes, good looking shots. It's just the rim closed. They put a lid on the rim. They cheated.
They must have up there. Kyrie took 4, Grimes took 4, Naji took 2, PJ took 1, Hardy took 1 in the second quarter. There's not any bad rush kind of threes in there to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jaden Hardy, man, this was maybe his worst game of the season. 1 of 7, 3 from the field, 3 turnovers. Did have a couple of assists, but just the decision making, and he looked like he lost his confidence out there. And that's a spot where you go, like that one's just not working.
Yeah, I don't know. When Luka comes back, I'm assuming Hardy is going to be resorted to end of bench duties. But you never know with kids' rotations. But the way Spencer did when he's been playing, Grimes has been playing. Luka comes back. I don't really see the space for another ball handler. And Hardy, it feels like the easy cut from the rotation. And then when Exum comes back, just assuming guys are healthy, I really don't know what that means for Hardy. And if I just had to make a guess right now, I would be a little surprised if he's on the team past the trade deadline. He, to me, just feels like an obvious trade guy.
Value right now. Well, also he just signed an extension, so I'm not 100% sure he can be traded.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually. But I don't. Yeah, it's rough. I don't. He's had a. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be.
It was a roughest. It was a rough.
I really wanted him to be good, but I don't know if there's a pathway on this team.
It's a lot really quick for a guy like that was 1 year and done in the G League in on a defunct team that doesn't exist anymore to now come in. And everybody has talked about the lack of development on those kind of teams. It just didn't work the way the NBA thought. And so he comes in, plays on a team that's bad, looks good his first year, but only played half the year, looked great in the G League. Then he plays on a finals team last year and didn't get a ton of minutes. And then now is on this team that's expected to go back or hopes to go back to the finals. That's just a really tough spot. And at least Dinwiddie has looked better, which is good. You're not desperate for guards off the bench. We've gone in a complete 180 because I was full on Dinwiddie should be out of the rotation. Hardy should be in towards the beginning of the season. And it took 5 games for us to completely switch on that.
Well, I said before the season started, I thought Dinwiddie would get DNPs all the time. Like
yeah.
I thought he was going to be like the 14th guy next to Markieff Morris. But no, some of that though was thinking that Hardy would maybe see a little bit of an improvement, and also that Hardy would play better in a role where he's just more of a catch and shoot guy who can attack closeouts every now and then. And the 3-ball hasn't really been there for him. And even, when he does attack closeouts, he does have some nice moments when he attacks the rim, but sometimes, and it feels like a lot of the times, there's not really a plan. Like he's just driving and gets caught in the air or is trying to finish a layup through a 7-foot shot blocker. It's just, it's tough, man. And those are things that take reps, like real legitimate reps. And it's tough when you're on a team that's trying to contend for a championship that already has good guard depth to,
you almost wish he would have just done another year in the G League last year, but but the thing is, we saw him play in the Western Conference Finals and the finals and play okay in those minutes. So that's a weird thing where you're not going to then push him all the way back to get those reps again. But he's only getting 5 chances in a game like this.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of in the G League where he maybe gets 25 chances.
And also the thing too, the G League stuff, and then him at Summer League where it looked really rough. Where it's like the role that he would be playing on those teams in that context is not at all what he would do like on the big club, the big league roster. So
the big club, the big show. The other pain point
club. I like clubs. I love
club.
Yes.
Club sandwich.
It's so much better than team. Like, yeah, we got a good club this year.
I feel like that's a Premier League. That's like
it
is,
but it sounds great. Yeah, the basketball club.
The club. The other pain point, Maxi Kleber. It's tough. 29 minutes. Only took 1 shot. Fouls. He finished with 0 points. Couple of turnovers. Just looks rough. Not giving you anything really statistically. He had a couple of good defensive plays if I'm going to give him any credit, but that's a spot where you go, man, the backup 4. And then for Omax to not get any minutes in that spot either says a lot about him probably too.
Yeah.
Man, that is a tough spot to go from PJ to Maxi and then Omax. The 4 minutes are rough right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I thought he had some moments defensively, and he's always going to be good defensively. I actually thought he was good defensively in this game, but God, his offense is so bad. It is beyond being a zero. Like it's black hole territory. Like there was a possession, I want to say in the second half, where Kyrie has the ball, Maxi's a pass away. Maxi's a good look for three, doesn't do it, swings it to Kyrie.
Yeah.
Kyrie swings it right back to Maxi, and I guarantee you, Kyrie's saying, shoot the ball. Yeah. And then Maxi kind of drives, and I don't really remember what happened at the end of the play, but I don't think it was good.
He gave up the ball like 3 times that possession.
Yeah, he didn't want the basketball. And I don't know. That is clearly the area the Mavericks have to address because I don't see it on the raw. It's not something you can solve internally, I don't think.
And he's making $11 million. So that's a spot where you have to attach a Hardy or one of the first or something. We did a trade show on Friday, so go listen to that one to see a couple of the options that we had. But that's a spot they've really got to get better at.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what they're able to draw up. I would say I said Hardy. I'd be surprised he's on the team past the trade deadline. I'd be shocked if Maxi's on the team past the trade deadline.
I think I wouldn't be shocked because I think it may be hard to move him. $11 million. Another contract next year. He's not doing a lot this year. I mean, the injuries.
I mean, his contract is tradable because I'm assuming you'd probably get somebody in that range. And if you're a team that's selling
about a lot of
like $11 million for Maxi Cleveland next year is nothing. And that's even something where you go into the offseason looking at that contract as it expiring. Like this is a valuable piece, a valuable asset for us. So
this player doesn't really fit the need, but a former future Maverick that the Mavs are going to play tomorrow makes $11 million. That's Matisse Thybulle.
I don't see it. How about former Maverick in this game, John Collins?
So he makes like 26.
Yeah, he makes 26.
Really hard. You have to trade like Gafford with him to get to that money, or Clay. And I don't think they're going to do that. Somebody asked me that, and somebody texted me that on the insiders, and I was like, I just don't see a scenario where they can't trade Clay in the first season.
They're not trading Clay. No way. Unless things get bad. I don't think they would.
That's such a bad player's PR hit, like for your rep, for your rep with players across the league to recruit that guy, to bring him in, and then for him to struggle and then just to trade him. They're just not going to. So all that being said, a John Collins trade is really tough.
No, I know, but I mainly brought it up because did you see that thing on the broadcast that he averages more points per game against the Mavericks than any other team in the league?
Yeah, but you wouldn't want him on the Mavericks because his average would go down.
If you only watch Mavericks games, you think John Collins is I would trade 3 firsts for him.
Yeah, Julius Randle too.
Oh, speaking of trades, do you like deviled eggs? Wait, no. Do you like deviled eggs?
Yeah, some deviled eggs. Yeah, the deviled eggs at Streets Chicken in Oakland are great. Those are excellent deviled eggs.
I think deviled eggs are maybe the worst food.
I mean, there's some people. It's a very texture thing. If you don't like texture, they're slimy and like then the creamy yolk in the middle. I mean, that's just weird for some people that don't like texture for foods.
That's what it is for me. I'm a big texture guy. So somebody asked me in my chat tonight, would I trade? Here's a scenario. I could only eat deviled eggs for 3 years. 4 years,
that's a long time.
Or the Mavericks trade Luka and Kyrie. And I said, yeah, sorry. I'm going to have to take the trade there.
You wouldn't eat deviled eggs for 3 years?
I could only eat deviled eggs for 3 years. I don't think you're even surviving that.
Yeah, you could.
No, there's no way that's healthy, dude.
I mean, it wouldn't be healthy, but you would survive. Just straight calories alone.
I'm not sure.
You'd have to eat a lot of deviled eggs, though.
I think you're
getting protein in that. You're getting enough. You're getting fats.
Your liver would shut down quickly.
What are you putting in your deviled eggs?
Your liver, your kidneys, your lungs. It all goes.
Spiking his deviled eggs over there.
That's what I'd have to do to finish it.
That's why you don't like them. There's like 2 shots of
maybe. Why does this taste like whiskey?
A whiskey deviled egg sounds disgusting.
It all sounds disgusting.
There you go. The Mavs play tomorrow. Luka should be back tomorrow. We'll have a post game for that show as well. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Check the QR code for ways to follow the show, and we'll be back tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Dallas Mavericks. Peace
Welcome back, Luka. Yeah. Hopefully.